Let's jump right into it. So where do you work?
So I work at Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service. I am the consumer staff attorney there. So under my realm of responsibility is I do consumer work and housing work. So for consumer, I run a weekly consumer protection clinic in the District Court of Baltimore City. So every Tuesday, I'm there. The court has a docket called the affidavit judgment docket. It is literally a debt collection docket. So if you owe a debt and you live in the city, that is this is the docket your creditor can sue you on. So I show up, I explain to the defendants why they're there, why they're being sued, and I talk with them through any meritorious defenses or help them understand what's going on. Um, this clinic is also volunteer based, so I do have some volunteer attorneys that do appear to help me with this clinic. So that's actually a large part of my consumer work there. And then for housing, I do tax sale foreclosures, single family foreclosures, and then I'll do like tenant rights presentations.
Okay. So let's kind of break that up. When you are at your clinic for the consumer stuff, so basically, how does that work? I mean, are you representing them in the courtroom, or is this before the court? Like they come and talk to you?
So it is a singular like lawyer of the day program. So when the defendant shows up, checks in with the clerk, I'll pick cases that I believe I could assist a client with. I let the people know why I'm there, why they can speak to us. And usually the judge will let us leave the courtroom prior to the judge taking the bench. And so we'll go to the library, discuss any of the defenses, help them with payment arrangements, um, talk about a lot of things. Because a lot of times when you're talking to clients about their debt collection issues, you find out quickly that this literally arisen or arisen. Is it arisen?
It's literally a rose,
Okay.
I think.
um, from some like other factor or something that's happened in their life. So most times they are being sued by a debt because of they fell on hard times, unemployment, loss of income through death, illness, something like they moved. I don't know, something in their life happened. Um, so we try to resolve the issue for them in like the 10 minutes we have.
Jesus.
Um, before we have to go back in front of the judge and let the judge know what are we going to do in regards to this defendant's case.
Yeah. Talk about high stakes, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's very fast paced sometimes. Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, how many on an average, day at this clinic? Um, how many, people are you helping?
So that depends on actually how many defendants show up. Historically, this docket does not have a high percentage of defendants showing up, but for us, we help as many people that come. So if the docket has about like 100 people to show up and only like 10, we'll try to see all 10 of them,
Mm.
um, if possible, and if the judge allows, because the judges also have their own schedules. They kind of stick to.
The the tax sale foreclosures, right?
Yes.
I don't know what that means. So,
So each year, Baltimore City holds what they call the tax sale auction. So if you owe Baltimore City any type of debt, mostly property taxes, environmental citations, or any other liens that the city has placed on your home or your property, if you do not pay it by, traditionally the deadline is April 30th, they put your house in the tax sale auction. It goes into this auction, a bunch of people, mostly New York hedge funds,
mm,
um, and a lot of just random businesses. They bid on the address. If they win the bid, they get a lien, they get a title certificate to your home. So that means after so many months you haven't paid your property taxes to the city, then you owe this person or this company attorney fees. So in the first like 7 months or so, you owe their attorney fees about $750. If
mm,
it goes on to the new year, then you owe them about $2,500 in attorney fees.
well,
And then On top of that, the default property taxes, environmental citations, or what have you, is collecting between 12 to 18% interest.
So when this hedge fund or whatever business, right, buys um, the property, uh, how does that work? Do they also take on the lien?
So what happens is they do a bid. Say a house, say you owe like $2,000 in property taxes, and you don't pay it.
Hmm.
They bid on your house. They bid. Most times they won't do research on the house. They just bid because it's easy profit for them. But they'll bid like $20,000 on the house. The only amount of money they pay actually to the city is your property taxes. So they pay $2,000, or they can pay the bid premium, which is $200.
Hmm.
But most times they'll just pay the property taxes off. But once they do that, they again have this lien certificate on your home. So if you try to sell the house, if you try to take out a loan using the house as collateral,
Hmm.
you can't do it because this company or hedge fund has made your house unmarketable because they now have an interest in the property.
Hmm. Okay. So are they then? Do you then owe this lien to that business?
Yeah, so in order for you to redeem your house back to get full title back, you have to pay, essentially you have to pay them off. And that means you have to pay their attorney fees.
Hmm.
So depending on how quickly you get in contact with them to redeem your home is how much you have to pay them. So let's say typically the auction is in the deadline to pay is April 30th. If you miss the deadline, the actual tax sale is like in May. Um, by July, everyone has received notice that their house was either sold or not sold in the auction. By August or September, you'll receive a letter from some company's attorney saying that, hey, we purchased your home in the tax sale.
Hmm.
And this is how much you owe us in order to reclaim your house. At that time, like August, September, all the way to December, you probably only owe them like $750. Once it hits January,
Hmm.
you're going to owe them about $2,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And yeah, that sounds horrendous.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess how many of those have you? I mean, have you been doing this for 3 years? Your
Yes.
entire okay.
So the entire time I've been doing tax sale foreclosure. Yeah.
So how many? I mean, how many have you dealt with? Just ballpark.
Uh, I can't even count honestly, because even though Baltimore City has canceled the tax sale, or they haven't canceled, they've postponed it.
Hmm.
I have given a lot of advice about tax sale to a lot of people. We have these tax sale clinics every early spring every year that sees like a number of people plus people calling our intake line and other stuff. So I can't even count how many people I have talked to about the tax sale.
Okay. And so you said Baltimore City has kind of stopped doing this, or
No, so last year, Baltimore City Council passed essentially a law or an ordinance saying that if you're a homeowner over 20 that's been in the house for over 25 years, you will get pulled out of the tax sale, and your essentially property taxes will go into a payment plan. Like you'll get the option to go into the payment plan.
okay.
However, that does not prevent you from being put in the tax sale for the next year. So if your deadline is April 30th, they're essentially giving you the rest of the year to pay off, that year's property taxes. But if you keep a running balance, you're going to go right back into the tax sale.
Gotcha.
So for people who don't fall in that eligibility, um, each year they will go into the tax sale auction. If they cannot redeem their house, they are at risk of losing the house. Like, so even if your house is fully paid off, a hedge fund person or some like random property company can come in and buy your entire house for like $20,000,
Hmm.
even if you have like full $300,000 equity in the home.
And so the people that you're helping in this situation, um, I'm assuming many of them have paid off their homes, or
So yes, we do see a lot of older adults with, so we can't prove it, but we know it's happening. Older adults with full equity in their homes that own their homes outright are usually targeted for the tax sale because they have nowhere else to go. And so they are literally forced to redeem their houses from these lien purchasers.
Hmm.
So if they can't afford to pay their property taxes because they fell ill or something of that nature, yeah, they're forced to just pay the $750 or the $2,500 or whatever that the lien purchaser is requiring them to pay. Um, I had a client. I had a client. I would just call her Estelle. I'll call her Estelle. She Each year there's a homeowner's tax credit,
Hmm.
and of course the homestead tax credit that's available to any Marylander.
Right.
But um, she missed the deadline to apply for the homeowner's tax credit because she had an extended stay in the hospital.
Okay.
Because of that, she was unable to pay her property taxes because it was the full amount. What she started doing was she tried to start selling off valuables to pay the property taxes because we were literally at the deadline.
Hmm.
If I hadn't done that, if one, I wasn't able to get her retroactive credits as quickly as I was because she was also very able. So she had all of her documents scanned already. So all she had to do was scan and email me her income, her signatures, and everything, so I could get it forwarded to the appropriate person.
Hmm.
But if she had not had the ability, she would have went into the tax sale and most likely lost her home.